Hello, I'm Nelson, and welcome to South Paths. Me and Asli. Say hello, baby. We are on our way uh, yeah, maybe she can tell you better.
We're going to Los Baños today to pick up my granddaughter in her school.
Hmm. And just a general get out of the house thing, too. It's gets us an opportunity to go somewhere, something to do, someone to see, and do a little traveling on the jeepneys. Whee! So anyway, today's subject is, okay, how do I put this? Guys, you got to have your head on right before you come here and to find a Filipina. You cannot be loaded with so much emotional baggage that you should be seeing a psychiatrist and then come here and expect that things will go well with you finding a girl and settling down. I mean, for the most part, some of us are able to take our little life's tragedies and tuck them away in a bag and leave them there forevermore and compartmentalize them so they don't disturb our day-to-day life. And some of us can't. And some of us have such large tragedy that it can't be compartmentalized by anyone, you know, without people questioning whether they're saying or not. Sorry, there's a lot of traffic here today. We're just walking out to the jeepney, so there's going to be a lot of traffic on the road here. So anyway, you have to have your affairs in order up here before you come here and hope for the best. I mean, in a lot of ways, if you had your things all sorted out, you could just stay where you are and find a girl and settle down there, and everything just might be fine, outside of the obvious risks you're taking regarding the statistics for divorce courts and divorces, I mean, you know, in the West, being as high as it is. But the girls here are different from the ones in the West. Very, very different. And I'm going to get into that in this conversation. So, you know, put on your caps, boys. This is going to be a big one. Okay, so as an example, and I was lucky. I ended up having a relationship blow up, marriage blow up. And it messed me up real good, okay? Real good. But I managed to put it away in the old kit bag and move on. And I came to the Philippines, and I started to be okay before I came. I began the process of being okay. And then I finished the process while I was here with Ashley's help. Nothing serious, just presence. Just her presence. And her brains. And her stubbornness. Thank God. And everything's turning out roses real good. But I've noticed some guys will come here because they have no other options, or they expect that things that would be considered weird in the West will not be glanced at or worried about here. And in some cases that's a fact. People may not notice your wounds, your psychological damages. We all have baggage, right? All of us, if we're over the age of 20, we got bags. So So you gotta come here healed up, or you gotta come here able to heal up. You gotta be able to come here and be able to heal up. So if you can't do that, if you're kind of funny, if you expect that you're going to get a Filipina and you're both going to hide away behind a locked door for the next 20 years until your PTSD settles down, well, I'm afraid that isn't going to happen here, buddy, because here people are about socialization and socializing. Relationships are everything here. And if you take a Filipina out of that and put her in a wasteland, which is a locked door, and it's just you and her, and the whole world be damned, well, there's some Filipinas that can go with that because it matches their personality type, and maybe that's what they want, or maybe they have previous experiences in life that would predispose them to being agreeable to that sort of a situation. But not many. You'd probably be better off. You'd be better off finding a girl in Kentucky, out in the hills of Kentucky. They'd be more likely to go for that than you'll find a girl here, even in the provinces. I mean, they've still got the family thing going. You have to respect that. It's going to be important. You can't ask them to drop that. They'll drop you instead. They may try. They may say what you want to hear, and then it won't work. So, yeah, you gotta come here sorted out. Went to the store and grabbed some pop and water for me and Mama. So, there's things that are different about Filipinas that are wildly different and superior to Western women. But there are things that are the same. Things you never do. Details about your life you never want to share. Like Western women and women in general. A la a number uno uno. Don't talk about your ex and expect to get any kind of I forget the word, but you know what I mean. You bring up your ex, well, that never goes well. Not here, not there, not nowhere. So don't do that. Other things you should know about Filipinas to help it go smoothly. Okay. Don't raise your voice. It's not done here at all. And if you do it even a little bit, it shocks them. They don't know how to deal with it. You'll be surprised by the result. And you may have blown up a really nice relationship. So don't lose your beans. Don't scream. Don't yell. Don't get upset. And I don't mean just about them. I mean, don't holler and stomp your feet, and piss and fit and cry and whine about how things here are, you know, this is bad and that sucks and I hate this and I can't stand that. And, you know, you may have, and you will have, some things about the Philippines that just doesn't wash with you. But, you know, you're one person. This is a different nation. It's a different environment, they have different solutions for problems. They have different problems. They have many different ways from what you would consider the norm. There's nothing wrong with the way they do things here. It's just not the way you're expecting in a majority of cases. You never, ever raise your voice or lose your temper with your Filipina. As a matter of fact, if you stay completely calm, like she just said, the sun is up, and you went, oh, okay, yeah, it is. That's going to get you much further along solving your problems than stomping your feet and saying, but, if you really cared, but, it won't work. Not even one time. It won't help you at all. So you can't go there, okay? That's number one. Number one, big one. You never lose your temper with a Filipina, and never lose your temper about anything that happens here. Not with her, and actually, by extension, not with anything else here or anyone else here. Don't do it. Another thing I've noticed, a lot of guys here, some of us really want things to work with our Filipina. Here's the thing: the guys come here and they want a traditional wife, right? But they don't want the traditional roles as husband. Like, they don't want to be responsible for the bills. You know, they're like, they're so expensive. They always want something. Asley shops, online and Lazada here, which is the same as Amazon anywhere else. And she buys a lot of little things that cost, 50, 100, 200 pesos. Not every day or anything, but, once a week she'll pick something up for 100p, which is like, $5. Something like that. It's not a big deal. It's not even $5. It's not a big deal. You gotta realize that, yes, if you want a traditional woman here, you have to be a traditional man here, according to the precepts of what a traditional man is here, which is the same as what a traditional man was in the States in the 50s, 60s, and maybe the 70s. Before feminism really got a hold, before the price of everything got so out of sight that two people had to work. And when two people had to work, and two people were bringing in money, then both parties felt a desire, an interest, a need, and felt the right to be able to determine how the money was spent, what was going to be important, how things were going to be done, and thus began the erosion of the nuclear family in the US and in the West in general. So, if you're going to be the boss, you're going to pay the bills. You're going to make the big decisions in the house, and she's going to make your house a beautiful place. She's going to make your house a beautiful place, man. Filipinos are called the light of the home here. You provide a house, they will give you a home. They give so much. And so many of us don't appreciate it. I mean, there's a lot of guys that come here simply because their attitude is shit towards women. I mean, we all have our complaints. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Feminism has done a real job for interpersonal relationships between men and women in the West. Done a real good job on it. Really messed things up, but good. I mean, the old story, right? Where the woman will say there's 5 floors to a building, and each floor has a better man, and they get to the 4th floor, and there's this perfect man who has beautiful chiseled jaw and a great big pile of money, and he has a beautiful home, and he has a swimming pool and a yacht, and oh my goodness, what's on the 5th floor? And so the women, instead of being satisfied with all of that, will run up to the 5th floor to see what they can get up there. And up there is a sign that says, well, on this floor, there are no men. There's nothing here. Just a sign that says that proof the women are never satisfied. Okay, don't turn that around when you're here. Don't become the man running up those flights of stairs looking for the better deal, the better option. Be satisfied with a girl who treats you well, treats you right, and takes good care of you, and really does take your needs into account every day about everything. Now, this thing about scamming, I can only speak for myself. A lot of guys get very upset about this. If I try to generalize this and say that most Filipinas are good people and and you can trust them, and they will never harm you, and all of this if they're good Filipina. You know, a lot of guys say, well, I've had this done to me, and I know a guy that had that done to him, and blah, blah, blah. And you know, you never hear both sides of it. You never hear it all. And as with all things in life, it's never 100% one side. It's not, okay? It isn't. It's not. People are people. And, you know, maybe he doesn't understand her, she doesn't understand him, things go wrong. By that time, there's already a house involved, a property involved, and you end up losing because, well, there isn't a woman in the world who isn't going to default to, well, the law says it's this way, if it benefits her. It's just the way it is, pal. As far as trust goes, you must decide if you trust her enough for major things to happen. Marriage, children, property. So if you're going to be an old man like me and you're going to marry a 20-something Filipina and she's going to start popping out babies and need a house, and you got to buy property now, and you got to build a house now, and you got to do all these things. Well, that's not because she's planning on ripping you off. That's because you went to that side of the world and said, I want to marry a girl who's 25. And then not expect to have a girl that's 25. And what a girl that's 25 is all about and what she wants. Listen, I believe that there are as many good Filipinas here as there are bad women in the West. Okay? And there's a lot of bad women in the West. There's a lot of bad men in the West. And a lot of it is because we've had generations of infighting with feminism and women's rights and things just generally getting harder and harder and harder every day living in the West. Things just get harder, man. They just do. And it has nothing to do with all of this other sociology or societal changes between men and women. It just has to do with the fact that, you know, people who run the world are greedy bastards, and they want you to pay $500,000 for a crappy house in a lousy neighborhood. And that's the way it is. And so you buckle down to do that with your, you know, job that pays $22 an hour because you didn't listen to your mom and dad, and you didn't wise up in high school, and so you didn't go to college, or you couldn't afford to go to college, sadly. You know, like me. It's up to you to trust them or not. It's up to you. You got to make that decision in your heart of hearts. And you got to just do what you do and hope for the best and hope it works out for you. That's all I've got to say about the trust issue. This is getting a little long in the tooth now, so I think I've covered most of the points. You know what it's going to cost. You know what you're dealing with as far as societal norms here and what to expect when you are becoming put in this society as a provider in a family, or at least in so far as a Filipina goes, whether the children or not, you know, depends on your age, who you select, where you live. Different things are different here in different locales. If you're in Manila, it's much more of a westernized experience. If you're out here in the provinces where I am, you know, you can turn back the time dial to the 1960s, 70s, 80s, maybe, depending on where you are. If you're going to live where all the expats are already, you can expect that you're going to be meeting girls that know that the expats are there. And maybe you're not the first guy that she's you know, taking a roll of the dice with in so much as that. So she's going to have some pre-existing thoughts and expectations about being with a Westerner. Whether they're right or wrong. Oh, good morning. And how things will work out. Oh, let me show you something that we tripped over yesterday. Just take a second. Little house here. We might rent this place. So you got this little house in the backwoods here, and a nice little blue house. You know, I mean, gosh, it's not the Taj Mahal, but you know, for the price, 4,000 pesos a month. We can rent this place if we want to, and you know, it's not bad. The yard could use a little work, but you know, Asley will have this turned up into a magic garden in no time. I can see where I'll have to fill this up with red brick sidewalks, going through a green place, and I'll be throwing out buckets of water a day to keep it that way, even in dry season. So if we take it, I don't know. So basically it's this. Filipinas are, a moment, truck went by. Filipinas are not Western women, but they are not a fantasy either. They're not a fantasy that you're going to get in your life. They are. I mean, I don't know who you were married to before, or the women you dated in the past if you never married. But yeah, backing up into delivering something, I'll go this way. In my case, I met a woman, and it took me a couple of years to discover all the layers of who Asley is. She has excellent instincts about things like YouTube. She's given me great ideas about how to be successful with the channel, although she has no experience with it. But she's given me some great ideas, man. And they've worked out well. And so I listen when she tells me something. Doesn't mean I have to take it to heart, but I, you know, button this and unbutton these. So, you know, consider doing that. Even if it seems completely alien concept to you, you know, and she makes a suggestion that seems like whack to you, give it a chance. You will be possibly surprised at just how well her ideas work here. This is not the USA. And, you know, be friendly with if in a meeting a Filipina, I should touch on that. Oh, yeah. It's easy. Look at them, pop your eyebrows as you walk by and say, good morning. The response will be, morning. The response will be that they'll probably smile shyly and say good morning back. So let's wrap this up, shall we? Filipinas are, in many ways, like women all over the world. In many respects, they are the same. But not in a bad way. Like, it's not like the West here. Certainly not like that. And if you come here, you're going to find that it is completely different. But if you're an open mind kind of guy, if you're a Hemingway, you'll do just fine. If you don't know what that means, look up Hemingway on the internet. Read about who he was. If you match any of those characteristics, you're going to be all right. Feminine, beautiful, nice. They're all that. And all you need to do is to put your guard down, have some faith one more time, and let it go, and see where it leads you. All right? I'm Nelson. This is South Paths. I'll see you again. Please consider like, subscribe, and share. See ya. It's not so bad, eh? Not so bad.